Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Cafe Bagheri's kitchen studio. Summer season is upon us again, and we need to be enjoying those beautiful eggplants from our local markets or in the vegetable garden in our backyards. So it's a great time to make Khoresh-e Bademjan, which is the popular Persian eggplant and meat stew, and yes, another one of my childhood favorites. Bademjan, of course, is the Persian word for eggplant. The street slang is bademjun. So if you hear out there Khoresh-e Bademjan, it's the same dish. The classic eggplant khoresh is a lamb or beef stew or mushrooms if you want to go the vegetarian way, simmered in a tomato and spice broth topped with peeled and sautéed eggplant. But I like a little more body and heft in my eggplant stew. So what I do is I add split peas and basically cook our traditional Khoresh-e Gheymeh recipe, and then add the cooked eggplants on the top at the end, which makes this stew a Khoresh-e Gheymeh Bademjan, best of both worlds. So let's get cooking some delicious Khoresh-e Gheymeh Bademjan together. Like any Cafe Bagheri recipe, we start with Mise En Place, which means everything in its place or gathering all your ingredients ready to be used when they're needed. So let's talk about the ingredients that need prep work before we can start cooking. We begin with the star of this show, the eggplant. The most common type of eggplants used for this Khoresh-e Bademjan in the old country are the long, slender ones that can be found in North America as Japanese or Chinese eggplants. You can use Italian eggplants, which are a bit shorter also. However, in average North American grocery store, you're liable to find these, the globe eggplants, large, fat ones. These are also called American or Western eggplants. First, I peel the eggplants, and with these globe eggplants, I cut them into wedges. Then I apply a generous amount of salt, any kind of salt will do, on all sides, and leave them for 30 minutes to sweat. This pre-salting step reduces the eggplant's bitterness and intensifies the umami flavor. After resting with salt for 30 minutes, I rinse the eggplant and dry them completely. I would leave them for an additional 20-30 minutes to air dry completely. Let's handle the sour acidic elements for this khoresh. For our base Gheymeh khoresh recipe, we are using Persian dried limes, also known as limu omani, and a couple of tablespoons of fresh squeezed lime juice. If you have access to sour grape juice, often sold as verjuice, you could use that instead of lime juice. So an hour before we start cooking, puncture a few holes in each limu omani and soak them in hot water. We would also need to soak the dried split peas. As I do with most of my Persian stews, I use beef that is prepackaged as stew meat or meat from beef ribs and flank steaks. Similar cuts from lamb are also quite good, but since most lamb meat available to us here in Texas has a gamey smell that I don't like, I usually go with beef in my stews. So with any of these options that are listed, you need to cut the meat into chunks in your desired size, usually cubes from 1/2 inch to 2 inches in size. Now I'll shred a couple of Roma tomatoes using the large teeth on a box shredder. Small dice a large onion. After the eggplant is completely dry, I'll saute it in vegetable oil on medium-high for about 5 minutes on each side. Now I'll take 1/2 cup of the diced onions, and cook them about 8 minutes in 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil over medium-high heat while stirring and making sure they get extra crispy, colorful, and flavorful. This creates what Persians call Piaz Dagh, which literally translates to hot onion, which is a flavor enhancer or topping for many stews and dips, such as our Khoresh-e Bademjan. I would save this Piaz Dagh in a medium bowl to use in our Khoresh later. Now we're going to drain the split peas that have been soaking in water. Then we'll saute them in a couple of tablespoons of vegetable oil on medium-high heat for about 5 minutes while stirring occasionally. Now it's the time to put all the ingredients together and cook our stew. I'm using a large but shallow pot, and it could also be called an extra large skillet, almost like a paella pan. I'm using this pot because I often serve this Khoresh in the pot straight from the stovetop to the table, family style. I start by heating 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil on medium-high heat and add the rest of the diced onions and saute them while stirring occasionally long enough to sweat them, which takes about 5 or 6 minutes on my stovetop. Then I will add the chunks of meat and the turmeric. By the way, thanks to the viewer who commented a few days ago on the alternate pronunciation for turmeric. So we stir everything to distribute, and then I push the onions and meat away from the center to open the space, drop the tomato paste, and I fry the tomato paste for about a minute or 2 while stirring. Then I mix everything together, meat and tomato paste and onions, and cook them until the meat changes color, about 7 minutes while stirring occasionally. And then I add all the liquids, which is a heated chicken broth, water, and the shredded Roma tomatoes, the sautéed split peas and fried onions, Piaz Dagh. I bring the pot to a boil, then cover and simmer on low for 30 minutes. Now, after 30 minutes, I add the soaked Amani limes along with salt and pepper and stir it, and then we'll simmer for another 30 minutes. After this hour, I add the rest of the spices, which are cumin powder, cinnamon powder, cardamom powder, little Damascus roses crushed up, ground saffron, and optional cayenne pepper because I like a little heat in my Persian stews. And we add a couple of tablespoons of fresh lime juice or verjuice if that's the way you do it. And then do a final test of salt and pepper and stir as needed. Now is the time when I can arrange all the sautéed eggplant wedges in a pattern on the top, on the surface of the Khoresh, and drop the cherry tomatoes all around it and make it pretty. And the final stretch is to continue simmering on low for 20 minutes. Check this out. Our Khoresh-e Gheymeh Bademjan has been simmering and cooking to perfection for 1 hour and 20 minutes. These Bademjan spears, these pieces of eggplant, and the tomatoes have had the last 20 minutes to complete their cooking to perfection. And I am going to serve this Khoresh on this occasion with the pot family style. So we'll take this to the table. The only thing I will add to this is some crispy potato sticks right here in the center. And I'll buy these from store, but if you have the time and wherewithal, you can make some fresh French fries and serve it like you do on Qiyme, or you could serve it in individual plates, table service as they call it. Either way, it's going to be delicious and wonderful. Khoresh-e Gheymeh Bademjan, I want you to go out there and pick some eggplants or buy some eggplants from your market and make this Khoresh. When you make it, I want you to send me pictures, tag me on your posts and on your stories, at Cafe Bagheri on Instagram and Facebook. And if you liked what you saw today, please like below this video. Share the link to this video with your friends and family on social media. That would help us a lot and I would appreciate it. I know that 99.9% of y'all are subscribers, but just in case you just wandered in, this is your first time and you're not a subscriber, this is a perfect opportunity to subscribe and hit that little bell button so we can keep in touch. You're gonna get notifications when delicious stuff happens around here, and there's gonna be a lot of it. Summer's young and there's a lot of stuff coming. So thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you right here very soon again at Cafe Bagheri channel, and we're gonna cook something delicious together again. Thank you.